Hey, this is Wax Day, Mr. Arrogant. Okay, today I want to talk about SONACAM and authors and composers' rights. I decided to raise this topic because I've been getting a lot of messages asking me what's happening at SONACAM and why artists are getting funny sums of money from SONACAM. Well, I can tell the difference between ignorance and stupidity, and I know a lot of people who are asking are not stupid, they're just ignorant. So it's best I make a video to explain so that in future they can be less ignorant and sound less stupid. Let's start with the basics. First of all, as I said, I am not responsible for SONACAM. SONACAM is responsible for collecting and distributing authors and composers' rights. I am responsible for the musical art pole, which is transitioning into the Federation, FECA Music, which is responsible for the follow-up of all musical activities on the national territory. That's different. But in the interest of assisting those who are really curious about knowing what's happening in SONACAM, let me explain what are authors and composers' rights that SONACAM is responsible for collecting and distributing to the right owners. Every musical piece of art, every musical work is made up of two distinct rights. The first is the master right, the second is the composition right. The composition is the creation, the sense, I'm not talking about pitching. So once that is put down on in sheet writing, it's recorded, it's written, or it's tweeted, or it's written in a post. That intellectual property, that thing that you've melody, and lyrics that you've put together in that way to create that beautiful sound that pleases people, is a composition. The master right is an actual recording that a record label does and owns of that composition. So I might write a song, I own the composition. It's in my head, I own it. I write it down in sheet music, they can see it's proof that it's mine. Record label signs me, pays, the song is recorded by an engineer, musicians and all that, I sing on the song. That's a master recording. That particular recording is a master. If somebody else, another label records that same composition that I composed, it's a different master, but it's the same composition. And it's owned by, those two masters are owned by two different companies. So normally, the master is owned by the record label or the person that pays for the recording. That's why the label can sell the music. Now, the composition, completely different right from the master. There are several kinds of, royalties, and we need to go into that to understand why SONACAM is so important. There are, first of all, the public performance royalties, which is the normal one that SONACAM deals with. So I write a song. The song is produced by a record label, by a producer. It's broadcast on Trace TV, on Boom TV, My Music, STV, Canal D. It's broadcast in Snacks, public performance. I perform it at a public venue. Another artist performs a song. Now, the person that composed those lyrics and that melody has to be rewarded for their intellectual property being used to please people, to entertain people, to sell products, to sell goods. That's the money that SONACAM is collecting to distribute to the rights owners. There are mechanical royalties. Mechanical royalty is created when a piece of work is transferred from one medium to another. So for example, I take the song, I burn it to a CD, I've transferred it to another medium. It creates a mechanical royalty which has to be paid by the person that transferred it to sell it. So for example, MTN is selling caller tune Zik or selling downloads. If you download the song or you download the song from Boomplay, it's transferred from one medium, one platform to your cell phone. There's a transfer of that property. The mechanical royalty needs to be paid to the owner, to the composer. There's what is called needle time or performance royalties. Needle time is, now I compose a song, the author's rights belong to me. The producer brings together a guitarist, the record label comes, brings a guitarist, brings a pianist, I sing on the song. The rights of our performance, that performance that we do, the guitar I played, the piano that I played, even though we didn't compose it, we have to be rewarded when that music is used. In other countries such as South Africa, it's called needle time. Here it's run by SADV, which is another collecting body just like SONACAM. Les droits, they call it droits voisins in French, in Cameroon. It's called different things in different countries. But you need to understand that. To understand that if you are a singer, you have a right to droits voisins or needle time. So you have to be registered at SADV, which is not SONACAM, to get that money. It's not just SONACAM. If you compose the song, even if you're not a singer, you have to be paid by SONACAM for your composition because it's collecting composition rights. If you're a publisher, you sign artists, you sign songwriters, composers, you need to be part of SONACAM so you can get. Yeah. And the thing is that whenever there's a public performance, rights are paid, rights ensue. So for example, when CRTV plays your music, rights ensue. When Trace Africa plays your music, they pay because they're using your music to sell their brands and sell products and entertain people. They pay you for that, not the other way around, or however it is. And that is why when you hear on radio, for example, at the end of a program, they'll say on the copyright registry, we have that person's actually registering all the works of art that have rights attached to them, so they can identify the rights owners and make sure that it goes to the people. Now, why are these important? These rights are very significant because they are a major money spinner for the industry, and you cannot simply not afford to ignore them. Or in the current state, you cannot let those rights just not be involved in the management of those rights, to say that you're not part of SONACAM or you don't want to know what's happening there. Those are your rights. And ultimately, what happens to them is up to you and those who know. Remember, I always say that the biggest misfortune that befalls people is not by the acts of those that are behaving badly, but by the negligence of those that are good but do not do anything about it. Why is this important? There's many reasons, but let me name a couple, 2 or 3, of why these things are really important with practical examples. A long time ago, around 1983, Golden Sound, which was formed by members of the military band, got together after performing, started composing their own songs, got a sponsor, another big person in the army, and recorded the song Zangalewa, which was a big hit. They performed it, got paid for their performances. The song died down, the hype died down, they went back to the village, retired. 20, 30 years later, Shakira redid the song for the World Cup, Waka Waka. So, what are the rights involved in this? I worked on this with Dave Alexander of Share Music to represent Golden Sound and to lead the case against Shakira to restitute the rights of Golden Sound. So, first of all, number 1, the authors and composition. That was borrowed from there. Let truth be told, it's an army song. It's been sung before, but those were the first people that actually put it down, and so they get the rights to it. Basically, that's another subject. We'll deal with it later, or we get another video about it. But then, decades later, because of that, we were able to secure for them rights. And here's the impact, which you should think about. For example, every year since 2010, 3 or 4 times a month, each of the composers, original composers, Guido, Zebela, Emil Kojidi, they get a payment from Sony, Germany, which is Shakira's publishing company, for the past 10 years. So they've built mansions for themselves, built etages, built properties, and out of that song, out of those payments. That was the composer's rights. There was a master recording which was in contention at the time we handled the case. At the start of the song, if you listen to Waka Waka, for example, there's a gruff voice, which many believe that was the voice of was it Kojidi, the heavy voice, and that was in contention. We were asking at the time for a further $250,000 for the use of that master. It has nothing to do with the composition. It's that they took the actual recording, the physical recording, and they sampled it. So bear in mind that when you sample music from another recording, for example, as a producer or as an artist, you are infringing on somebody's master right, and you have to pay for that because the recording does not belong to you. It's like you take somebody's cup, or you sleep with somebody's wife. In Muslim tradition, you have to pay for it. So that's really important. The other thing why it's it's not just about other people using it. How does that work practically in our circumstance? We've seen the case of Zangalewa. Consider the case of Kosi, for example, in the song Calisson. Calisson, ton calisson fait quoi chez moi? All right. Racine Sagat originally sang the song Calisson, ton calisson fait quoi chez moi? Kosi has adapted it and used it in the song, and it's a major part of the song of his hit Calisson, which means that in the song, Racine Sagat should get composition rights because he put together the lyrics and the melodies for Calisson, which Kosi adapted for his own hit song. Same like Coco Argenté, who wrote parts of the song, should get parts of that song. So in actual fact, Kosi owns just a fraction of the song Calisson, and he should get only authorized for a fraction of that song, although the song is such a mega hit. In actual fact, because of the influence of the name Calisson on the success of the song, don't be surprised that Racine Sagat should get most of the proceeds from that song and not Kosi. Same like a song like Bolo Se Bolo, for example, which I believe was written by Naomi Benkum. That hook, in normal circumstances, she should be getting royalties from SONACAM for writing the Bolo Si Bolo for that song. Now again, these things, we don't have a proper structure for them in Cameroon, so things are just happening in a haphazard manner, and so people get to so the third thing is that when you have a song that is recorded and registered, wherever the song is played in the world, you are sure that you're able to collect your royalties. There's something called the ISRC, which is a digital identification number on every song. Now, if you're doing digital distribution, sometimes through independent distributors online, they would ask you for that number, or they'll want to issue it for you. It's important because it tracks. It's like a digital copyright registry, which means that wherever the song is played in the world, they're able to track the money and how does it come to you. If a song is played in South Africa, so Samro is able to track through that and collect the money, which collects the money from that. They have a reciprocity agreement with other parts of the world. Say they have a reciprocity agreement with SONACAM in Cameroon. Samro will now take that money, transfer to SONACAM to pay to you because they were able to pick up that South African SABC in South Africa played your song. So it's really important. And same like, if American song Chris Brown is played in Cameroon, they're able to track that a song was played in Cameroon through that ISRC, and then they pull that and ask SONACAM to pay them that money. And that's the big issue why we're fighting for 80-20, because the more foreign music we play, the more of our money is going to foreign countries through those reciprocity agreements. It is very important that our money should be used to pay our artists so that they can also grow. We need it more than those other people, than countries where they are already generating a lot from themselves already in that countries. That way, everybody grows, and we can now get together, on international stages and collaborate in a fair and equitable manner. Now, remember that we're talking about broadcasters, not individuals. 80-20 is not related to individuals, because I get a lot of stupid people. Ignorant people, not stupid people, ignorant people saying that, oh, I want to listen to what I want to listen. 80-20, don't force on me. No, 80-20 is not for you individuals. I have a lot of Nigerian music, American music in my phone, but I believe that public broadcasters should play a lot more of Cameroonian, our local music, so that we're able to benefit in that way, besides other needs of it. The other reason why, authors and composers' rights are important, because it's a bargaining tool. For music publishers, people that actually take this music and follow up those rights, they have a lot of money to spend because they gain a lot out of percentages that they gain from gathering that money for you. So I'll give you a very simple example. In the case of Salasiel's Africa Represented, which I was involved in the sense of Calabash, the ISRC numbers were issued by my company Calabash, because we're a member of the Recording Industry of South Africa, the organization which gives us the ability to have issue those digital codes, but we're able to negotiate a deal for the promotion of his album internationally through a publisher who was ready to put on an advance without any rights on his music or his performance, just on the basis that By promoting this music, we can get some income from when international stations and those stream the music, play the broadcasting music, and we get publishing royalties. And then they can cover their advance that they put into investing into the album for that. So you begin to see how the music thing works in a circle. Now, when I did my collaboration with Yemi Alade, for example, the total budget for everything, and I didn't pay a cent to Yemi Alade, but because we're flying from different countries and shooting in different countries and paying engineers internationally and doing that, we ended up spending about $25,000 for that to get that done. And a lot of that money was put down by my publisher because out of the streaming of my music in different places, they're able to, and performances in different countries of that song, they're able to recoup those publishing royalties and cover that without impacting my shows or my rights to the music or my rights on the music or anything at all. Now, isn't that something? Think about it. There is a whole business world to develop out there out of music publishing. So we need to pay, really particular attention, especially now because you would increasingly see that as your career goes on and as you grow older and as you get out of phase, your music stays. As in the case of Zangalewa, as in the case of Ratsin Saga, the song Kaleson, and future generations can use that music and you get paid for that. Now, whether it's working structurally and perfectly or well in Cameroon, it's another issue. I don't want to get into that. Again, that's another issue. We have a responsibility as artists to come together and make sure that we find a system that works for our industry. But it is really important, and we need to understand the difference and the basics. There are other forms of royalties which are really incredibly, beneficial to artists. Sync rights, for example, when your music is used and streamed along other content, for example, documentaries, film, even normal comedy strips. When that music is streamed with those, the artists get paid for those royalties. Yeah, those are sync rights. Sync means that your music is synchronized to other content to make it more palatable to the audience. That is a major source of income, not just for the composer, because sync rights come both with master and composition. So the master is used, for example, actual recording that is used is they have to get paid for that, and then the composition right that is used to create those emotions on that product, whether it's the comedy strip, whether it's the documentary, whether it's the movie. It's major sums of money, especially, for example, with commercials. I'll tell you what, artists like Echo Roosevelt, my co-coordinator at the Musical Art Pool, are still making millions from synchronization rights. If you're in the UK, for example, you would watch commercials on TV right now with Echo Roosevelt's music, and that synchronization is earning him millions back to his bank account in Cameroon. And sometimes, I'm called to look at those things with him and deal with them and and negotiate with the partners, with those stakeholders involved. So you need to understand that intellectual property in music is just like intellectual estate is just like real estate. It appreciates over time, and there's no telling what's going to be the next boom, what's going to be the next waka waka, what's going to be the next Kaleson of Ratsin Saga that's going to blow up. If it were in a better organized industry, Ratsin Saga should be making a lot of money from Kosis Kaleson. Or what will be, the next big thing in Africa. Q for you, Chop My Money P Square. Last check, a long time ago, about $2.5 million in authors and composers' rights. Think about that. Now, if you want to know more about this, I will be setting